Morning, everyone. Welcome. 10:30. This is a soft flow. My name is John. This is a new class on the schedule. We did a little shift in our class scheduling, and so soft flow. This is a class I've been teaching for a number of years, but first time at this studio. So I just want to talk a little bit about what I do for this class and what the intention is around this class. Because I typically teach power yoga, so lots of vinyasa, a lot of flow, and in a sense, and someone described this class some years back. I said, John, your soft flow class is really just a slowed down power class. And it really is. It's just a slowed down power class where I like to break things down. And really so that we're moving in and out of poses safely and that we're getting the best and most out of those postures. And I base this class as far as the movement and why we're moving a little slower, a little bit more gently, basing it off the yoga principle that's called Ahimsa. Ahimsa. It's the first ethical principle of yoga, which means nonviolence. Nonviolence. And so I've kind of reinterpreted that as to meaning treat yourself and others, but start with yourself. Treat yourself with love, kindness, and gentleness. Treat yourself with love, gentleness, and kindness. And that becomes an outward expression of yourself. You'll treat others and other things in the same way. So we start here, and we do that with the intention of the soft flow practice. So we move slowly, gently. We won't do a whole lot of postures, and if we do, we are doing poses for sure, but we're probably holding some poses. And like I said, we're breaking down some things. And I like to say, and I'll say it as we get into the poses, don't feel like you've got to kind of go hard or strong into a pose, even if you're very flexible or very strong. I like to say dial it back. If you can go 100% or more into a pose, because you can, for this class, dial it back to maybe like 60 or 70%. Be a little bit more gentle, kind to your body. That way you can hold a pose probably a little longer and still have that kind of calm feeling and effect as you're just kind of sitting with your pose and not feeling like, I got to hold this posture, with intensity. So that's kind of the intention of soft flow. This is a 60-minute class, and I like to start in seated. We do a number of things on the floor to begin. And I like to start with breath. So find your comfortable seat. You can cross your legs. You don't have to cross your legs. You can sit on a prop like the cushion there, or a blanket, or just on the ground. You can always change your leg posture if you need to. But at first, just sitting up nice and tall. Perhaps closing your eyes, but you don't have to close your eyes. Maybe you can just soften your eyes, just an easy gaze forward or downward with soft eyelids. We'll take a few moments just to pay attention to breath. Notice that you are breathing. Breath being the foundation of our practice, we like to start here. Just notice the steady flow of your breath in and out. This helps us to be in the moment, to be more aware, even more connected with ourselves as we step into this yoga practice together. Let's just continue to deepen this connection with our breathing. Now that you know that you are breathing, start to notice the feeling of the breath, or aware of how your body is responding to your breath. So as you inhale, you just might naturally find that you're sitting up a little taller. Your chest and belly might rise. And as you exhale, you might even breathe out through your mouth. A nice soft sigh. Relaxation of the stomach or your chest. So just notice the rise and fall of your chest or belly, the in and out sensation of your breath. And on your next inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill your lungs. So an expansive breath in. On this exhale, You're going to draw your belly button in toward your spine. It's just a little pulling action from your center, a light contraction of your abdominal muscles. So again, an inhale, you still might feel the lengthening of your spine. Breath is rising, filling up your lungs. Exhaling, connecting to your center, that gentle pull of the belly in. We also call this the abdominal lock. But you don't have to make this too strong, just an awareness. And then lastly, just not only feeling the breath, but listening to the sound of your breath. Breathing in as you feel that expansiveness, perhaps that oceanic sound that you create. The exhale. And just take 2 more breaths like this. I like to call this our breathing meditation. We're going to shift into a moving meditation. So very simply, when you're ready, you'll inhale and extend your arms out across the room, reaching towards the walls, then up towards the ceiling. So a nice stretch up. On the exhale, extend the arms out as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you, and bringing the arms back down to your side as you complete the round of breath. And do that again. Inhale, reaching out. Good extension through the arms, energy in your hands and fingers, reaching upward. And exhale, reaching out and down, even feeling like you're pressing air downward. There's a little bit of effort there. Now just continue to breathe and move at your own pace. You don't have to move and breathe as I'm moving. Just follow your own breath. Notice the feeling and the sound of your breathing. Each inhale and exhale. And allowing the breath to move you. The breath is allowing your arms to float upward. Nice energy as you extend and reach. And allowing them to float back down by your side. Finish the breath that you're on and just take 2 more. And when you're complete, just let your arms rest by your side or on your lap or on your knees, and just pause and notice that change from a moving body to a body in stillness. From here, just going to have you bring your hands behind you, maybe prop yourself up onto your fingertips right here. Just going to roll the shoulders back so you can feel the chest and heart open, even tip the chin up a little bit, just kind of a mild seated back bend. As you inhale, just kind of press into the earth with the fingers. You might feel an energy shoot up the arms, but you're inhaling to fill the lungs. You might even feel a stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. And the exhale, still drawing belly button in towards spine. Now we are bringing more energy and awareness to the body with this posture. Again, inhale, feel the expansiveness in the chest. With the exhale, draw belly in. And as you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. So we're activating not only the lower belly, but also the upper back. So this is kind of its core work when we're working the torso in this fashion. Opening up through the chest, engaging low belly, engaging upper back. 1 more breath in and out. And then just lower your chin so you're looking forward even with eyes closed. Walk your hands towards self, sitting up tall. And just bring your hands to your lap again, feeling that shift and change from that back bend to a seated posture. And just pause for a moment. And if your legs are crossed here, uncross your legs and come to cobbler's pose. So just the soles of the feet come together here. You can hold on to your ankles or shins or even your toes. But initially just sit up nice and tall. Nice and tall. So again, you can hold on wherever feels natural to you. Since we just did a back bend, let's now do a forward fold. So again, inhale, get nice and tall. Even imagine you have a string attached to your crown and you're being lifted up. Exhale, lead with your heart and chin. Just hinge forward just a little bit, not much. Just a little hinge, and just notice if there's any change in the leg sensation or in your back. Again, breathe in, more lengthen the spine at this new angle. Exhale as you're able, just hinge a little bit more. Now, like I said, you don't have to go all the way down to a forward fold. We're just going to pause here and maybe go slightly deeper. Remember, we're not working to 100% of your pose, but maybe dialing it back to maybe 60 or 70%. So you do have sensation, but it doesn't feel like you have to feel too intense in the pose. You can certainly lower your chin, round your back, and that might allow you to go a little bit deeper into the posture. Again, keeping it at about 60 to 70%. That allows you to perhaps hold the pose a little bit longer than usual. As far as props are concerned, maybe you're just sitting on the ground. Maybe you're sitting on a pad like a folded blanket or a towel even. And if you happen to have your blocks nearby, what I like to do sometimes is just kind of prop those blocks underneath the legs. That way the legs can just kind of relax right there. I don't feel like they have to hang open or stretch too much. If the back is rounded, perhaps notice that curvature in the spine. Maybe that creates a stretch through your back body. Still breathing with intention. And when we're leaning back into that back bend, breathing into the chest space, now perhaps with a deep breath, breathe into your upper back space. Feel that expansion of your lungs. You might even feel an expansion in your upper back. Fill yourself up and then exhale. Mindful and aware of the sensations you're creating in your body. And from here, we'll just take 3 more breaths. We'll take our time to come out of this pose. So notice if your back is rounded, notice if your chin is lowered. To come out of this pose, start by lifting your head a little bit. Maybe you're looking out past the front edge of your mat. That will start the re-extension of your spine. And maybe hands or fingers on the floor, just help press and lift yourself up just for a little guidance as you need it. And just lift until you're nice and tall in your seat. And just hold here for a moment. We're going to make a transition to our hands and knees. So if you've got props here, let's just move those out of the way. And then come to your hands and knees. Take your time. This is where you might want to use the blanket just for some padding underneath you, just to protect your knee joints and your wrists here. Again, these are just options for you. But if you like to use these pads, go ahead and use them here. So here's our tabletop posture, moving through cat and cow, 2 poses that flow together. We'll start with an inhale, which is the cow or back bend. You'll inhale and kind of tip the chin up or forward. Feel like your heart's moving forward. Meanwhile, you're arching your back, tipping the pelvis back, the belly drops. Then exhale, if you can, start with the back end. Tuck the pelvis under. Feel your belly button pull up towards spine, the rounding of your back, chin to chest. That's cat. Again, starting with back end, inhale, tip the pelvis back, belly drops, the back arches, heart opens, look forward. And exhale. And just continue at your own pace, this nice fluidity through the spine, movement through the hips and pelvis. You can just continue with this flow of the body. You can certainly add other movements as they feel good. Moving with intention, moving with great awareness, moving with breath. And again, feeling as if the breath is moving you. Finish the breath that you're on and take 3 more breaths. When you're complete, just return to a neutral tabletop posture. Maybe your focus or gaze is downward, just between your hands. And if you are using a blanket, just crawl off the blanket so we can set it to the side. You can always bring that back in later, but just move the blanket out to the side and then come back out to hands and knees. We're going to set ourselves up for downward facing dog. And like I said, I like to break things down. So we're going to start by stepping the hands forward, just out from underneath the shoulders. And as you step the hands forward, spread out your fingers pretty wide so you can actually feel a stretch between each finger. And just place the palms on the floor. You're going to kind of lean forward so you get some weight and pressure in the palms. So you're getting a stretch. You're opening your hands, kind of stretching the palms. And even push down with a little effort so your arms feel straight and strong. Go ahead and tuck your toes. We'll do one more cat-cow. So inhale to cow, that's the back bend. Exhale, cat, rounding the spine. And then lift your knees off the ground, send your hips into the air, and then your head and chest will naturally sink between the arms. This will be your downward facing dog. As need be, maybe adjust your feet, maybe even your hands if you need to on your mat to help settle into the pose. Stay here, or if you need to come back down for any reason, feel free. And while we're here, as you're able, maybe pedal the feet or walk the dog, I like to say. Press one heel down as the other heel lifts. And then alternate. Notice how this feels in your toes, maybe even the soles of your feet, but this might even target your calves. Let your knees bend. And with the knee bending, you're going to feel your hips shift side to side. Meanwhile, hands are pressing strongly into the earth, strong arms, so we're certainly activating upper body. Okay, if you're walking the dog here, press one more time on each side. And just hold in stillness for a moment. And either look at the center of your mat up or up towards your hands and just step forward. So your feet might even land at the center of your mat. They don't even have to reach the feet, your hands, but just find that you're solid on your feet. And even just slide your fingers towards your toes and you'll be in forward fold. We're going to rise up though. We're going to inhale, slide the hands up to the shins or knees, rising up just halfway. We're going to hold here on the exhale. So it's a half forward fold initially. Again, being sure your feet feel solid on the ground. Knees are bent, but your legs are active in this pose. Feeling the extended torso now that we're parallel to the floor. Feel like there's an energy moving through your hips and tailbone to the back of the room. And maybe through the crown of your head towards the front of the room. From here, you'll shift your weight back into your heels so your toes feel light. Bend your knees to lower your hips like you're going to sit down. Place your hands on your thighs and then push into your thighs. Press to help lift to stand up. And then once you're tall, extend both arms up into the air. You can even look up if you want to. And exhale, look forward and bring your arms down to your side. We made it to our first standing posture, and feel free to maybe just kind of shake things out, roll the shoulders, check in with your wrists and fingers, maybe work down your body, your hips, right down to your ankles and toes. And I'm just going to do a forward fold and come back up. And again, I like to break things down. So here we go. And inhale, reach out and up. There is a good effort of reaching high. Exhale, spread your wings and hinge at the hips and start to fold. Bend your knees quite a bit. We're going in slow motion, coming down. Maybe your hands land at your shins, ankles, maybe your toes, but you don't have to touch your toes. Then inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Once again, just rising up halfway. On the exhale, either stay here as we did before or slowly slide back down to your personal forward fold or the personal depth of the pose. Again, we're working at 60 to 70%. So if you feel like you're overstretching, okay, just soften it up a little bit, lighten it up, come back up a little bit. Yeah, you can certainly add movement here as it feels good. A little sway of the upper body. Some circles with the shoulders. Nod yes a few times slowly. Shake your head no. And just notice if there's any tension or tightness or soreness perhaps that lingers in your upper back or neck or shoulders. And maybe in this pose, even imagine or literally feel like those sensations are falling away from you. Okay, we're going to return to standing. So wherever you are, shifting your weight into your heels again. Bend your knees, lower your hips, bring your hands to thighs. Push into your thighs first to extend the spine like you're coming forward, and then continue standing. You've got it. Rise up, reach up, maybe look up. And exhale, look forward, arms down to your side. Another pause, another check-in with the body. We're going to go through a sun salute. We're breaking it down. Moving with intention. Here we go. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, spread the wings, bend the knees, sit back into an imaginary chair. Come down, maybe your chest comes down towards thighs, lower the hands towards toes. Even take a peek between your knees towards the wall behind you. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. We're rising up halfway to a flat back. On this exhale, we're sliding back down, but bend the knees a lot more. Spread out your fingers so you can place your palms on the mat and start with stepping or walking the feet to the back end of your mat. Lowering your hips to about shoulder level. We'll be in plank pose. Just another nice, strong posture for the entire body. From here, we'll breathe in. On the exhale, bend your knees, send your hips into the air, moving into downward facing dog. Now in soft flow, I very rarely go through a full vinyasa, meaning from plank. I rarely do chaturanga to up dog to down dog. I typically move from plank right into down dog. So that will be my instruction, but you certainly can go through a full flow if you'd like. Okay, breaking down the first lunge. I like to step my left foot to center on the mat and then pick up right foot and extend the right leg straight back. I'm not concerned about the height of the leg. It's more about the extension of the leg. Reach strong and long to the back wall. Inhale. Exhale, bend this right knee, heel towards backside, but shift your whole upper body forward. Shoulders will be over wrists. Now bring this knee forward, setting the foot down. Now, if you take a peek up here, my foot didn't make it up to my hand. So what I like to do here is bring the left knee to the floor, free up this right hand, pick up the right foot and step it up a little higher. Maybe you make it all the way, but that's just in case you don't. And then relift that left knee. Pivot or actually turn this left foot so the whole heel's on the floor, shifting the body weight back. So I have weight on both feet, lightness in the hands. I'm still facing forward, but hands are light, so I can reach forward, hinging at the hips and rising up. You can see how we go slowly, we're breaking this down. Once we're tall, reach up, lunge low. Stay there for a moment. Let me just recreate what I did down here. Just stay where you are. So I extended a leg, bent the knee, brought it forward and shifted forward. Maybe the foot doesn't make it to the hand. I set the other knee down, pick it up, replace it, and then continue. Okay, from where you are, inhale. Exhale, hinge and fold. Make sure you spread out your fingers, plant the hands. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. So you have a nice runner's lunge, strong straight arms. Slide or pull the right foot back. Plank pose. We'll take a shortcut to down dog. Soft knees, hips to sky. Chest sinks. There's our down dog. Make any adjustments? Yes, of course, you can move through a full vinyasa, your choice. And then the other side. Inhale. Actually, step right foot to center if you'd like. Extending left leg back behind you. Strong straight line. Not worried about the height. As you bend this left knee, we're shifting forward. Shoulders will be over wrists. Sending this left knee and foot forward. If you don't quite make it, break it down like I did. Foot maybe just lands behind the wrist. Relift that back knee. Pivot right heel to the floor, shifting the weight back. So there's balance. Light hands rising up, and again, we'll just hold. Reaching up, lunging low. Stay right where you are. Nice. Good. Nice energy in the body, so you have awareness of this front leg, nice thigh work, nice alignment, knee and toes pointing forward. This left leg or right leg Swinging out to the side, opening up. Breathe in. Exhale, hinge and fold, hands back down to the earth. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you so everything's square and even. And then slide the left foot back, plank pose, pause. And then finish your flow to down dog. Yes. If you do decide to move through a vinyasa, you can always bring knees to the floor first, then chest. Your back bend could be a cobra. And then downward facing dog. Let's bring knees to the floor. You're going to sit back briefly in hero pose. Right here, just to feel kind of a stretch in the knees, thighs, shins, and ankles, but we don't stay here too long. Just shift weight over to the side so you can swing the legs around to the front. Scooting forward so you have some room behind you. You can have your blocks nearby. This will be an option to use in a moment, but go ahead and lie down on your back. We're going to move into bridge pose, but you can use the blocks as a way to support the body. So first, just lying down, bring knees to chest. Add some movement here. Check in with your breathing. You can circle the ankles, flex the feet, point your toes, even wiggle your toes. And go ahead and plant the feet into the ground. Now typically for alignment, your knees and feet will be about hip distance apart, but you can certainly take the feet wider, which is something I do, just for a little bit more space in your hips and low back. We'll take a breath in, fill up your lungs like you did earlier. You can even exhale through the mouth, so you can feel the air leave your belly, engaging the belly, and just lift your hips off the floor. Here's the options. You can just lift and just hold yourself up on your own, or if you happen to have a block or two blocks even, or even just turning one block up a level, go ahead and sit on one of your blocks if you want to, because we're going to hold this pose. So if you are holding up on your own and you get fatigued, grab that block, slide it underneath you, and just sit. So this is our soft flow version of this pose. So it really does dial back that more intense bridge pose where your legs and hips are really activated. Here, this is a little softer in nature. You don't get a full back bend, but you still have an opening in the whole front body. Thighs, hip flexors, low belly, and even across the chest. So even in soft flow or any other vinyasa yoga practice, just know that you have these options if you want to use a prop to support your body. We'll hold for another 3 breaths. After your 3rd breath, if you are sitting on a block, just press down into the floor with your feet, lift the hips, remove the block out from underneath you, and slowly return to the ground. And once you've made that soft landing, extend the legs out front, extend your arms behind you, just a nice active reach and stretch. We're going to return to seated. So some options here. You can hug the knees into your chest. You could rock forward and back and rock up to seated. Or my soft flow version is to roll to one side and press yourself up to seated. Just taking your time. And then once you've come to seated, you might scoot back a little bit and extend the legs out front. We'll start with staff pose. Staff pose is just straight legs. I like to activate the feet, so flex the feet, hands on the floor by your hips, and just push down into the ground, just to help extend the spine. You're looking forward. I'm going to check in with shoulders here. I'm exaggerating, bringing my shoulders forward, but we want to roll the shoulders back. A little squeeze of the shoulder blades together. Nice open heart, long neck. So this is staff pose or dandasana. I'm going to take this to a forward fold. We're going to maintain the length and height of the upper body. Free the hands. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, hinge forward just a little bit, not much. Pause and just bring the hands down to the legs and just let them rest where they rest. And we'll continue. Inhale, keep extending through the spine. Nice lift. Exhale, draw belly in. Lead with your heart and chin. Hinge forward. You might even take a step down the legs. Now for me, I'm going to pause here. This is plenty of stretch for my legs. But you can certainly go further, but keep in your 60 to 70%. If you want, you can always bend your knees. You can lower your head, round your back. That'll take you lower and deeper, and it shouldn't compromise your pose so it doesn't feel too intense for you, okay? But you know your body the best, so you'll find that area of 60 to 70%, doesn't feel too intense. Just feel as if my breathing is still steady. It really hasn't changed from the start of the class. It still is slow and deep perhaps. I still feel quite relaxed. I'm easily able to get into my poses. I can hold here for a bit. I'm not straining. These are just some things to be aware of. And I think with the softening of some of these poses and even holding them for some time, your body begins to get used to these sensations, especially for stretching. If you're trying to stretch out tight hamstrings, for example, you want to be able to hold a pose like this for some time so they do have that time to gain some length. And I think a practice like this can help facilitate that, just dialing it back a little bit, softening it up, and holding a little bit longer. You might start to find the body opening up a little bit more or creating more space. So you might fold, in this case, this pose, a little deeper, and it still doesn't compromise. You still stay in your nice range. Let's take 3 more breaths here. When you feel complete, just free your hands, reach forward. We're going to inhale and rise back up. Reach for the ceiling, getting nice and tall, a nice re-extension of the spine, maybe even the legs if they were bent here. Nice L shape, and then bring your arms down to your side. Just return to your staff pose for a moment, right there. I'm going to turn this into my soft flow version of boat pose. So just to step your hands back, lean back. You might even relax a little bit. Bend the knees and just kind of drag your heels towards yourself right here. Now you can stay here for your boat pose. Just kind of a little push, shoulders back, chest open. That could be your boat. All we would need to do is breathe in for the length and of the spine, fill up the lungs, and exhale through the mouth to engage core. Or another version I typically do is free the hands, but bring the hands to the legs so I can hold myself up. I'm not going to fall, okay? But lift myself up, maintaining that lengthened spine. Or even freeing the hands. And that's probably the highest level I'll take this for this class. Here, here, or here. Okay? Keeping the feet on the floor, because I think this allows your body to kind of stay in this pose a little longer. Lifting the feet, certainly an option for other classes, but I know for me, even though I've been doing this a long time, I still get a fatigue in the legs, okay, even when working core. So I think this takes some of that fatigue away, keeps the activation in here, in the belly, in abs, where I want to keep it, and I can hold it longer. Two more breaths. And after that second breath, you're just going to rise up so we can kind of disengage from that active core. We're going to return to plank pose. So maneuver the body in a way that feels good to you. Come back to plank. Just swing the legs behind you, perhaps. Spread out fingers, palms on the floor, strong arms. Straight legs behind you, plank pose. And we'll take a shortcut to down dog. Soft knees,
Send your hips into the air, head and chest sink. Adjust feet and hands. Let's go through another lunge series. As it suits you, you might step left foot to center, then extend right leg up and back, strong straight line. Exhale, we'll bend the knees, shifting forward so we can send the foot to the top of the mat or behind the right hand. We'll turn left heel to the floor, shifting the body weight back, finding a good center and balance. Hands are light so you can easily reach forward. Hinge from hips, rise up. Let's just fully arrive in the posture right here in our Warrior One. And we'll inhale, exhale, turn to your left. Arms come down to parallel. You'll be in Warrior Two, making adjustments with your feet as you need to. So yes, so you're strong in your pose. A variation of side angle pose. First, we'll angle the upper half of the body by reaching forward. You can follow me if you like. Bend your right arm at 90 degrees. Rotate so you can bring the forearm down to the thigh, and then left hand into the air. Okay, this is a variation of the pose. There's certainly different ways to be in this posture. Go to what feels good to you. Left hand can reach straight up, but if your shoulder feels fatigued or it's injured or just needs to rest, you can just certainly bring this left arm down to your side or your hip or even behind you to low back. Just want to feel this nice opening up through chest and hips. Yes. Here we go. Inhale. And exhale, carefully lift and turn towards the floor. Free your hands, spread out your fingers, palms on the floor, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. Follow me. We're going to bring this left knee to the floor. Even flatten that foot so you're on the top of the foot. I'm shifting my body weight back so I can lift up. So just rise up with me here and bring your hands to your thigh. So we're tall here. Now keep shifting back or leaning back a little bit. Yeah, pad that knee if you need to. And then wiggle the right foot forward. So we're out of this right angle sensation, but moving this foot forward because we're going to go into a lunge and get into this left hip flexor. Okay, I'm just moving the foot forward so I have space. Gently push into the thigh as we inhale and get tall up top. Exhale, just send your hips forward slowly and gently right here. Now you can stay up high. Hands can stay on thigh. If you stay tall, you'll be in a back bend, but if that feels kind of, tight and strained in the back, just lean forward a little bit. You can be here or, bring fingertips to the floor, or if your blocks are handy, maybe here. Okay? Now, you may be able to go really deep into these lunges, but let's return to our Ahimsa practice by staying in that 60 to 70%. We're getting the stretch that we need and want, but not overdoing it. So the props can help you just to kind of stay up or even bring hands up onto thigh. If you feel like you're sinking a little bit too far or you're passing that mark of kind of feeling kind of comfortable in the pose, just shift out of the pose a little bit. Three more breaths. All right, if you're just kind of sinking forward into the hips, we're just kind of lifting up and back out of that deep lunge, kind of rising up. I'm going to bring the hands, I'm going to move my blocks out of the way, bring my hands back up onto the thigh, nice and tall here. I'm even leaning back and just kind of dragging that foot back, so I'm returning to that right angle. And then slowly folding so I can bring palms back down to the floor in front, shifting forward a little bit. Tuck your toes behind you, lifting that knee. Pivot left heel to the floor. Oh, I lied. Stay on your tiptoes. Sorry about that. Because we're going to go to plank. Pressing palms into the floor, strong straight arms. Slide right foot back, plank pose. And then we'll take a shortcut to down dog. Of course, you can move through a simple vinyasa to get you to down dog. We'll just do the exact same sequence on the other side. So if you'd like, stepping right foot to center, if that works for you, picking up left foot, extending left leg straight back behind you. Strong straight line. Exhale, bend the knee, shifting the whole upper body forward so we can send this left foot up near the top of the mat or near left hand is good. Right heel turns to the floor, shifting your body weight so you're centered, really rooted and planted in that back foot. Hands should feel light. Yeah, so you can reach forward and hinge from hips, rising up. We'll settle in our warrior one for a moment just to be here. Inhale, good reach. Exhale, turn to your right. Arms come down to parallel. Make some adjustments with your feet. I typically like to turn that right foot out so it opens the hip a little bit better for me. Then our variation of side angle. Let's reach forward, angled upper body. If you'd like, bend this left arm at 90 degrees. Let's bring the forearm down to the mid-thigh. Right hand reaching up into the air. It just keeps you up, keeps you open sideways. It could be your arm, it could even be your hand. Yeah, or just find that flow or that pose that feels best to you. Staying within that 60 to 70%, not overdoing it. Gaining what you're needing from your pose. Wonderful. We'll take a breath in. And the exhale, turn your body. Open the hands, palms to the floor. Rise up on your tiptoes behind you. You'll be in what I call a runner's lunge. We're going to set the right knee onto the floor, pat it if you need to. Lengthen the foot so you'll be on the top of the foot, shifting the body weight back a little bit so you can actually rise up like as we did before. Yes. Hands can just rest initially on this left thigh, leaning back so you have a freer foot so you can wiggle it forward. So that'll determine how deep you go. We'll inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, start to lunge forward, and have our foot move forward so that when we do move into this lunge, your knee will shift and it changes its alignment. We want to see if we can keep the knee in this lunge right over ankle so you don't feel like you're going to aggravate your knee joint, okay? You might just come out of that back bend by leaning forward, just kind of resting your chest on your thigh, or even reaching towards the floor, or using the blocks. Allowing the hips to sink. Easing into the stretch. Noticing if you're still taking slow, deep breaths, just as you did at the beginning of the practice. Just being able to maintain that consistency throughout. Not overdoing it. Steady but strong throughout. Good. Yeah, and the ability just to hold and be here. Yeah, I like those slow movements, kind of the massage type effect, kind of that pulsing, just to help release any tension or tightness. And we'll take 3 more breaths here. Okay, rising out of that deep lunge, or just kind of pulling the hips back. Rising up, so maybe hands are on thigh again. Let's just drag this left foot back a little bit. Just holding here for a little balance. And then folding, spread out the fingers, plant the palms, tuck toes behind you, lifting the knee. Pushing firmly into the mat with the hand-strong arms so it takes the weight off this left foot so we can slide it back. Here's plank pose. Take a shortcut to downward facing dog. Let's hold here for a couple breaths. We'll do some more floor work. So gently bring knees to the ground. We'll sit back briefly into hero pose. Maybe at hero, maybe you want to have some props nearby. Your blanket, your blocks nearby if you want to grab them easily. And then sit off to the side, swing the legs around to the front. Maybe scooting forward a little bit so you're in the center of your mat. We're going to go ahead and lie down onto the back again. Draw knees into chest.
Since your feet are free, maybe just a little circle of the ankles, flex, point. Even your hands, free your hands. Maybe circle the wrists, wiggle the fingers. Good. We're going to move into an inverted pose, taking the legs in the air. So first, just set the feet onto the floor. Just pause and even let the body relax. Some options for your leg extension, upside down. Either just lie flat as you are now and just extend the legs straight up into the air. That's just one way of being in this pose. Or with feet still planted, lift your hips, grab a block, slide a block or even 2 blocks underneath you. Sit on the block and then extend the legs into the air. So some options for this inverted pose. And what I like to do, if I happen to be on one block and it's at its lowest level, I kind of sit, how do I express this? Just kind of near the edge of that block. And what it seems to do, it kind of propels my legs behind me a little bit. So with it, for me, it mimics, one, we're kind of mimicking shoulder stand where our hips would be off the floor. But with the legs kind of going back behind me a little bit, it kind of mimics as if I was going to go into plow pose. So while we're here upside down, some things you can kind of play with. You just keep the activated legs straight up or kind of sending back behind you. But I also like to get into the joints a little bit, like I was pedaling a bicycle. I'm upside down on the bike, but pedaling a bicycle. Just getting into the hip joints, the knee joints. Might even do kind of a happy baby pose variation where you're, yes, still maybe sitting on the block, holding onto the knees or shins, take the legs wide. You don't necessarily have to kick the feet up towards the ceiling. You can just kind of keep them more like frog's legs out to the side if you want. So really an opportunity to kind of play and just kind of feel into what feels natural to you here, even listen to what your body might appreciate while you're in this pose. Like, oh, I need to stretch my legs, or I need to stretch my hips, or do a twist. Just go ahead and listen to those requests and move appropriately. Let's take 3 more breaths. After your 3rd breath, coming out of our inverted pose, just bend your knees, plant the feet into the ground. If you're sitting on a block, let's lift the hips and remove the block. And just come back down and just hold here for a moment. We're going to do what I call a windshield wiper twist. So with knees bent, feet flat on the floor, you're going to take your feet wide, right out to the edges of your mat. And then take both knees over to your left. Now this will affect mostly your right side because your right leg is doing an inner rotation. So it's going to affect the hip and even the low back. Now even check in with that right knee because it might feel kind of torqued in a funny way. So you can always come out of this pose and change the posture if you need to. If you have a block that's still nearby, if you can reach, maybe get that block underneath that right knee so it's kind of resting on that block so you don't feel like it's torqued or bending in the really odd way. But if you feel like you can go a little deeper with this pose, take your left foot and place it on top of that right knee. And it just pulls it down closer to the earth, more twist sensation in your low back. And one last thing you might add, these are options. Right arm extends to the wall behind you. And that'll get a little bit more length down through that right side, low back and hip. Now this might be taking us out of the range of our soft flow just a little bit, but these are just some options. Even if you hold it for a few breaths and then soften it up. Just keep checking in with how you feel. Notice your breathing. Has it changed? Does it feel too intense? If that's the case, lighten it up. And we'll take 3 more breaths on this first side. When you're complete, just return to center, just lifting the knees, plant the feet into the ground. Just settle in so everything comes back to neutral. Realigning your spine. And then windshield wiper twist on the other side. And then slowly take knees over to the right. This will affect the left side more perhaps, with that left leg internally rotating. Checking in with the hip. Same thing, maybe use a prop underneath that left knee. Or if you can go a little further without straining, right foot on top of that left knee, creating more of a rotation, perhaps extending left arm behind you. Even just try these sensations out. Maybe feel into them. If they don't quite work, do something else, do something different. And as I said earlier, it's moving in and out of poses slowly, safely, so we can get the most out of our postures. Moving in a way so we're not bringing harm to our bodies. Practicing Ahimsa. Treating ourselves with love and gentleness and kindness. We'll take 3 more breaths. You're certainly welcome to take more time here in this pose or any other pose. Because from this posture, we'll make our way into Shavasana or any other restorative pose. So as you're ready, unwind, lifting the knees, come back to center, just plant the feet into the ground initially, just hold as the body settles and realigns, especially through the spine and hips. We're coming to the close of our practice, so you're welcome to move right into Shavasana. Just extend the legs out in front. You have props, so use the props in a way that's going to help support your body. If there's any other movements or poses that your body might need before you come to your restful position, move into those poses first. Listen and respond to your body appropriately and kindly, offering what it needs at this moment. We do have the bolster. We didn't use it in practice, but you might want to use it for your Shavasana. Some options might be getting the bolster underneath the legs, perhaps, just for bent knees, because sometimes lying flat on your back isn't the most comfortable position to be in. You might even use the bolster for your upper body for a little bit of an incline and back bend. No need to move just yet. Just return to the awareness of your breath. Stay where you are. Just notice your breathing. Just as you did at the beginning of your practice. Breath bringing you to this moment, helping you to be fully aware, present, connected. And once again, noticing your breath, the steady flow of your breath, aware of how you're feeling. Perhaps a sense of calm and ease in your body and your mind. And with this awareness, take 5 slow, steady breaths. Just mindful, intentional breathing in and out. Doesn't have to be too strong or too deep. Awareness of how this breathing effort brings energy back into your body. A new energy. And allow this energy to produce movement in your body. Feel the movement return. And taking your time, move as slowly as you can. You will roll to one side into a nurturing pose. Take your time to get there. On your next breath, press your hands into the earth to help lift yourself up to seated, still moving as slowly as you can. We'll come to a seated posture. Your eyes may still be soft or closed. Feel free to just sit on your mat or on a prop. Legs can be crossed or extended. Nice long spine, relaxed shoulders, hands just resting by your side or on your lap for a moment. And then just one last movement together. We'll inhale, extend your arms out and up, reaching beyond the ceiling. As you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more full and complete breath here on your own. As we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.